Hey everyone, I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Welcome back to the English Blend.
Today's topic is super relatable, right?
Absolutely. Have you ever been sitting in a restaurant, maybe waiting for the waiter, and suddenly you freeze up?
Oh, Mia, every time. You know that moment when you try to order something complicated?
Exactly. You practice the sentence in your head maybe 10 times.
Yes, like, I would like the steak medium rare, but could I possibly substitute the mashed potatoes for the seasonal vegetables?
And then the waiter says, "Pardon?"
And your brain just goes blank. You just point and say, this one. Good.
That feeling of wanting to communicate but the words just won't flow, that's what we're tackling today.
We titled this episode At the Restaurant, but it's really about how to stop freezing up and start flowing in any English conversation.
Because whether you're ordering food, talking to a colleague, or meeting a new friend, that feeling is the same.
It's the gap between knowing the grammar rules and actually speaking naturally.
Exactly. So grab your coffee, maybe a snack, and let's get started on boosting that fluency.
We need to define something important first, don't we?
We do. We need to talk about fluency versus accuracy. This is the core issue for almost every English learner, especially those around the A2 to B2 level.
People often think that fluency means speaking perfectly, right? That you have to use the correct verb tense and the perfect conditional every single time.
That's the definition of accuracy. Accuracy is about being correct, following the grammatical rules, making sure your sentences are textbook perfect.
And accuracy is important, of course. We aren't saying grammar doesn't matter.
No, not at all. But fluency is different. Fluency is about smooth communication.
It's about being able to keep the conversation going, to express your thoughts without huge, long pauses.
If you can get your point across, even if you make a few small mistakes, then you are fluent. That's the important distinction.
That phrase, get your point across, is so useful here. It means successfully communicating your intended message.
For example, if you say, "I went to cinema yesterday," instead of "I went to the cinema yesterday," you have achieved fluency. You got your point across.
The native speaker understood where you went, what you did, and when you did it. The missing "the" is a minor accuracy issue.
But what happens when you prioritize accuracy over fluency?
This is where the famous grammar block comes in.
That internal voice screaming, "Wait, is that past simple or present perfect continuous?"
You stop yourself mid-sentence. You're planning your verb conjugation while the other person is waiting for you to finish your thought.
And that pause breaks the flow. It's like hitting a speed bump or maybe even hitting a wall in your speech.
Yes, hitting a wall means suddenly stopping, usually because of an obstacle or difficulty, and in speaking, that obstacle is often the fear of grammar mistakes.
We've all been there. You have a great idea, you start speaking, and then you try to translate the perfect sentence from your native language.
And because English grammar often works differently, you panic. You start rearranging the words, thinking about prepositions.
And the result is silence, or maybe a very slow, painful sentence that sounds nothing like the way you talk in your own language.
It uses up so much mental energy, too. You're not focused on the person or the topic, you're focused entirely on the mechanism of the language.
And that is exhausting. If you spend all your time worrying about accuracy, you will never build conversational stamina, which is what fluency really is.
So the mantra we want to establish today is communication, not perfection.
Say it with us. Communication, not perfection.
Think about native English speakers. Do we speak perfectly all the time? Absolutely not.
We use slang, we interrupt ourselves, we leave sentences unfinished, and sometimes we use entirely incorrect grammar, especially in casual conversation.
If a native speaker can make mistakes and still be understood, why should we expect non-native learners to be perfect?
It's an impossible standard, and it's the biggest block to sounding natural and friendly.
We want you to stop acting like a grammar textbook and start acting like a person trying to connect with another person.
Let's look at a quick example from a cafe setting, which is similar to a restaurant.
Imagine you want to ask your barista, "Where is the sugar?"
An accurate, perfect sentence might be, "Excuse me, could you possibly tell me where the granulated sugar packets are located?"
But a fluent, natural speaker might just say, "Sugar? Where's sugar?" Maybe pointing vaguely.
The barista understands instantly. They point you to the counter. Success.
Even if you say, "I need sugar, please. Where is?" That's technically inaccurate, but 100% effective in getting your point across.
The goal was achieved. That is fluency in action.
And the more you practice these effective, simple communications, the faster your brain learns to link the idea directly to the English sound, without the grammar translation step.
Now, let me share a short story, a little cultural note about mistakes.
Please do. I love hearing about communication triumphs. This happened when I was traveling in Italy, trying to order street food. My Italian is, let's just say, highly enthusiastic, but grammatically questionable.
I imagine you ordered everything with confidence, but maybe slightly wrong.
Exactly. I wanted 2 different items, but I confused the word for two, due, with the word for sweet, dolce. They sound similar to my untrained eye.
Oh no, so what did you get?
I was trying to order 2 portions of rice balls, but the vendor thought I was insisting that the rice balls were sweet, like a dessert, which they definitely were not.
That sounds confusing for the vendor. What was their reaction?
They looked confused, laughed a bit, and then pointed to the menu to confirm. I finally realized my error, pointed, and managed to say, due.
So, you made a pretty big mistake that caused a misunderstanding.
Yes, a big one. But here's the important part. I didn't shut down. I didn't walk away. I saw the confusion, corrected it using simpler tools, pointing, and a single corrected word, and I got my delicious food.
You achieved the ultimate goal: communication and a successful transaction.
And the vendor smiled, and I learned a lesson about Italian vocabulary. The mistake was not the end of the world.
That is our third crucial phrase for today: not the end of the world. It means that a mistake or a small failure is not catastrophic. It's temporary.
When you make a mistake in English, remind yourself, it's not the end of the world. It's just a learning opportunity. The conversation continues.
That story perfectly illustrates that willingness to continue is much more valuable than grammatical perfection.
Right? So, how do we train our brains to prioritize flow over fear? We have some practical steps.
These are steps you can implement immediately to break down that grammar wall and start building real fluency.
Practical tip number 1. We call this massive listening.
We've talked about this before, but it bears repeating because it fundamentally changes how your brain processes language.
Massive listening means listening to English constantly, even when you aren't actively studying.
Podcasts, YouTube videos, music, background noise. Immerse yourself.
The goal isn't necessarily to understand every single word. The goal is to internalize the rhythm and the sound of fluent speech.
When you listen massively, your brain starts recognizing patterns of sound before it recognizes patterns of grammar.
You start hearing that native speakers use shortened forms like "what you gonna do" instead of "what are you going to do."
And your brain automatically begins to copy those fluent sounds, reducing the need for step-by-step grammatical construction.
It's like learning a song. You don't analyze the sheet music first, you just listen to the melody until you can hum it naturally.
If you want to order food fluently, you need to hear 100 different people order food fluently first.
That way, when you open your mouth, the sound patterns are already there, ready to be used.
Practical tip number 2. Learn in chunks, not just individual words.
This is powerful. A chunk is a group of words that often go together. Think of them as pre-made phrases.
Instead of learning I would like to order separately, you learn the whole chunk. I would like to order.
Or in a more casual setting, what are you thinking of getting? Or could you pass me the...
If you learn those phrases as single units, you don't have to assemble them grammatically every time you speak.
It bypasses the grammar check. Your brain says, oh, restaurant time. Activate the I would like to order chunk.
This massively reduces your cognitive load and increases your speed. It's instantaneous communication.
When you hear native speakers, they aren't using singular vocabulary words. They are using strings of words that fit together seamlessly.
Think of it like Lego bricks. If you try to build a complex castle one tiny brick at a time, it takes forever.
But if you have pre-assembled walls, roofs, and towers, the chunks, you can put them together much faster.
So when you study vocabulary, don't just write down the word reservation. Write down the chunk, do you have a reservation? Or I need to make a reservation. That makes the phrase immediately usable in a real-world context, whether it's at work, at a cafe, or at a fancy restaurant.
Practical tip number 3. Implement the 3-second rule. This one is for breaking the overthinking cycle.
The 3-second rule is simple. When someone asks you a question or when you need to respond, you must start speaking within 3 seconds. If you wait longer than 3 seconds, your brain has time to go back to the grammar library, pull out all the rules, and freeze you up.
That fear of inaccuracy creeps in during that pause. 3 seconds is generally enough time to formulate a basic, fluent response.
Even if you just say, wait, let me think about that, or, that's interesting. Those are fluent responses that keep the conversation alive.
The key is movement. A fluent conversation is always moving, even if slowly. A perfect sentence with a 5-second pause is not fluent.
So count it out. 1, 2, 3, and then start speaking. Whatever comes out first, that's your fluency practice. And remember our phrase, if it's not perfect, it's not the end of the world. Just keep talking.
Practical tip number 4. Focus on message before structure. This ties back to get your point across. Before you open your mouth, just think, what is the main message I need to convey?
If you're talking about a movie you saw, the message is, it was exciting and long.
Don't worry about structuring the perfect subordinate clauses. Just state the main idea simply.
Movie, very good, long time, is infinitely better for fluency training than a 5-second silence followed by an impossible-to-construct sentence.
The person you are talking to is focused on the meaning you are sharing, not grading your verb conjugations.
This is particularly useful in stress situations like work meetings or dealing with customer service. Get the essential information out first.
And the structure will naturally improve with continuous massive listening and chunk practice. It builds slowly, unconsciously.
Practical tip number 5, embrace the repetition.
You know, we often tried to use new vocabulary every day to show off what we know.
But true fluency relies on mastery of common, everyday phrases. Don't be afraid to repeat the same 100 useful phrases until they are automatic.
If you can automatically say, "How was your weekend?" and "I don't understand," and "What do you think?" without effort, you are already highly fluent in many social situations.
Use simple, strong verbs. Go, have, make, do, see. Don't reach for the obscure word if the simple one works perfectly.
Simple vocabulary, quickly delivered, beats complex vocabulary, slowly delivered, every time when it comes to fluency.
Absolutely. We are building communication muscle memory here. You wouldn't expect to lift a heavy weight only once and become strong. You need constant, steady repetition.
Let's circle back now and really cement those useful phrases we talked about. They are great tools for surviving real English conversations.
Our first one was get your point across.
Remember, this is the ultimate goal. If you successfully convey your idea, you win the conversation.
You might be at a business dinner, and maybe you mispronounce a technical term. But if the rest of the team understands the implication of your idea, you got your point across.
Even at the restaurant, I want the chicken. Points to menu. You successfully got your point across. Mission accomplished.
It takes the pressure off. Stop aiming for perfection and start aiming for clear communication.
Our second important phrase, especially for those moments of grammatical panic, was hit a wall.
When you hit a wall, you stop abruptly. You encounter a major blockage.
So, if you are practicing speaking and you notice you always hit a wall when trying to use the passive voice,
Then you know exactly what chunk or grammar point needs more focused practice. But later, during the conversation, just pivot to simpler language.
if you feel yourself about to hit that wall, simplify the sentence instantly and keep going. Better simple and flowing than complex and stalled.
And finally, our favorite reminder, not the end of the world.
You ordered the wrong dish? Not the end of the world. You confused he and she? Not the end of the world.
You pronounced schedule in a very non-native way? Not the end of the world. The person you are talking to will almost certainly understand the meaning based on the context.
Learners often treat mistakes as terminal errors, like the conversation is over. But a fluent speaker treats mistakes like small bumps in the road. You just drive over them.
The fear of these minor bumps is what actually causes the major accident, the total fluency block.
We want you to feel comfortable experimenting, try new phrases, make mistakes confidently.
That confidence, even when incorrect, is the sound of true fluency being developed.
Think about the difference in body language and tone when a speaker is confident versus when they are worried about grammar.
The confident speaker is relaxed, they make eye contact, and they focus on the listener. They might make a mistake, but they smooth right past it.
The worried speaker is tense, looking down, and there are long, agonizing pauses while they internally conjugate verbs.
Which one would you rather talk to? We all prefer the person who is trying hard to connect, even if their English isn't perfect.
Let's review everything we've covered today, Mia. It's a lot of useful mindset adjustments.
Definitely. We started by defining the key difference. Accuracy is perfection. Fluency is communication.
We established that constantly searching for grammatical accuracy is usually the reason you hit a wall and stop talking naturally.
Our goal is always to successfully get your point across, which means focusing on the message before the grammatical structure.
And the key to reducing fear is realizing that if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world.
We gave you 5 essential tips for building that automatic natural flow.
First, massive listening to internalize the sound and rhythm of English.
Second, learn the language in chunks, pre-assembled phrases to bypass that internal grammar check.
Third, use the 3-second rule to force yourself to start speaking quickly and avoid overthinking.
Fourth, prioritize the message before structure in real-time conversation.
And finally, embrace repetition of simple, common phrases to build automatic fluency.
Start applying these tips today. Maybe start with massive listening during your commute or while you're making dinner.
The more you listen and the more you try to use those chunks without checking your grammar, the closer you get to effortless, fluent communication.
Next time you're at a restaurant, don't worry if you use can instead of could. Just look the waiter in the eye and get your point across.
We believe in you. Daily practice, even just 5 minutes, makes a huge difference over time.
That was a great talk.
Yes, and next time we're going to dive into vocabulary specific to travel and hotels, perfect for planning your next trip.
Join us then. See you in the next episode of the English Blend.
Bye, everyone.
Happy speaking!